Okay, Keith, big news with Everton. The new stadium, which hasn't even seen a second of football yet, is believed to be in the running to host the 2027 Champions League final. Is this a huge boost for Everton, and are these rumors, somewhat true?
I think the rumours are misplaced. I'm afraid to prick the bubble on this one, but I don't think there's been a stadium that has been under 70,000 host a Champions League final for quite some time. And I think what may be the case is that Everton may be in the running for the Europa League final. That would make more sense to me. But I don't think at the 52, 53,000 mark we're big enough to host a Champions League final, unfortunately. I've always had questions about the capacity that was selected, but nevertheless, that's where we are. And I'm afraid I don't think this will prove to be the case.
And you talk about the capacity that was chosen in terms of building this new stadium. Why would they choose to build a stadium that couldn't host a Champions League final if they're putting so much money into such a nice new development?
Well, look, there'll be many constraints around the actual site itself because it was built in a dock and you are constrained by the size of it. Look, I don't know enough about the process that Dan Mice, the architect, went through with the club. There would have been a cost factor as well. There would have been a lot of studies done. As I say, I wasn't involved in that particular process, but I think most people now would recognise that something over 60 might have been more appropriate. But look, everybody's very proud with where we've got to. I don't know if Dan Mice has built in some sort of way that capacity can be increased in the future. I've sent him an email asking him that question, but yet to hear back. And so, look, we'll see how it evolves, but I'm afraid that's where we are, 53,000.
And what kind of difference financially would a Europa League final be to a Champions League final at the new stadium?
Oh, it's a big difference in terms of obviously, but the key thing will be that it's really all about a share of the actual spending that's done in the stadium as well. There isn't much benefit in terms of sponsorship because it's all UEFA sponsors that are there already, and the package is already sold. But they do pay a very healthy stadium fee, and so I reckon it could be worth in the region of somewhere near 2 million in terms of hosting it for one night, which would be really really helpful number.
And obviously, we saw the Riyadh Air deal done with Atletico Madrid for their stadium. What kind of effect will this £251 million deal have on the new stadium rights for Everton? Does this help them negotiate a huge deal for the brand name on that new stadium?
Yeah, look, I think anything that helps improve the overall situation for naming rights will be helpful. But overall, including naming rights, I still expect Everton to be getting somewhere from 60 to 70 million pounds extra revenue per year, which is really, really important. And it keeps Everton up there with the top 10, and that was the crucial part of this whole project. So I think naming rights will be good. The stadium itself being right on the River Mersey and is going to look fantastic when it's lit up at night. So look, it's got everything, every element that it needs to be a great naming rights project. It'll be in the press for a long, long time. So I think whoever gets it will get their money's worth.
And the money that comes in, let's call it 60 or 70 million every year for the stadium naming rights, does that directly go into the PSR calculations and help Everton in that way?
Yeah, look, it's not just for the naming rights. Let me be clear. That's the overall revenue. Naming rights will be a part of that. But yes, it goes against PSR. And that's where Everton, I think, also they're going to be able to save on interest payments with the way that Friedkin is doing the deal. So overall, Everton should now be clear of any PSR issues for some time, provided the spending doesn't go wild.
No doubt. And we saw the Manchester City ruling again with the APT case and some of the debt from interest shareholders coming out of that, some of the kind of repercussions of that. Everton have £451 million of interest-free shareholders, the largest in the Premier League. Is this concerning for them?
Yes, it is, but I'm not overly concerned at the moment. Now, the issue will be here as to whether this is going to be enforced retrospectively. And if that's the case, then Everton have got probably a bigger issue. Um, but then again, so have quite a number of clubs. It would literally throw the Premier League into chaos because it would mean probably four or five clubs would then be subject of breaking PSR and have tribunals and probably points deductions. So that would just make a mockery of the whole Premier League competition. So I think calmer heads will prevail. I don't think it will be retrospective. If the Friedkin deal goes through, then those sort of shareholder loans will become equity. And in most cases, clubs can, as long as it's not retrospective, can also do the same thing and turn them into equity. So it should be something that can be solved. But if the line is taken that it's retrospective and all clubs that had shareholder loans are charged by new commissions, then you'll see Arsenal, you'll see Brighton, you'll see a number of clubs all getting points deductions, and it could be absolute chaos. So I just don't think it can happen. If it does, then I'm afraid the world's gone mad.